media team of the Tinubu Shetima APC Presidential Campaign Council. A fine morning to you, Alhaji Modibo.
Thank you very much, Uncle Yori. It's good morning, fellow Nigerians. And I'm happy to be here this morning to discuss issues of national importance.
Great. We're so happy to have you. And now, of course, right now, as you know, we're in the middle of negotiating with, NLC, to avert a paralyzing strike. And by all indications, matters seem to be very optimistic, to put it that way, so as not to be over-expectant. And where we are now is that, as you know, Labour has said that it'll revert to its various bodies and indeed come back with a response. Perhaps that's even a fine place to start, because our subject matter is an appraisal, if you want, of the Tinubu administration, in the past 4 months, what has been done, and what we think of the much that has been done. As you know, with the coming on stream of a new administration, people expect to see a radical change. It's the same all over the world. The Tinubu administration came, came on swing at a very, very difficult time. But give me your impressions, given the difficulties with the world economy, given the difficulties that have been introduced as a result of the cancelling of the fuel subsidy. How well would you say the Tinubu administration has been doing, giving the hand that it must deal?
Thank you very much once again. Good morning, fellow Nigerians. Well, Uncle Yori, if you look at the political climate of this country, under globalization and multiculturalism, such as ours in Nigeria, we are under no illusion as to the enormity of the myriad of problems that has been confronting this country and continues to confront this country. One of the most outstanding and worthy narratives of the Tinubu-Shetima administration, especially Mr. President, is that he has come in as a fresh breeze with no baggages attached. This is a man, to me, by my own assessment, is a politician with mass grassroots appeal, a man of conscience, and a man that feels the pains of Nigerians. As a Nigerian, he came into politics with having the background of very patriotic and nationalistic intervention in the process of good governance. Because he came and met Nigeria in a very dicey situation that is lamentable. Before his coming into office, Uncle Yori, you'll agree with me, that this country was plagued by challenges of corruption, unmitigated lawlessness, crass impunity, spiraling indiscipline, and gross and monumental security challenges that left us paradoxically poor in the midst of plenty. And therefore, he had to come in to change the face and character of governance. And in doing that, a lot of people today are feeling the pains. But this is a president that feels the pains of Nigerians. And under any guise or any situation that we find ourselves as a country, even globally, before we enjoy under certain parameters, we must have some pains. And these are the pains at the moment that Nigeria is being confronted with. And therefore, I see Mr. President as a man of uncommon grace and compassion, having come out to specifically state that he feels the pains of Nigerians and he's doing everything within the ambits of his powers to make sure that he relieves the pains that has been confronting Nigerians, especially the ordinary Nigerians. That is why today the man has not rested. Since he came into office, he has been going from one country to the other, trying to see how he could mobilize human and material resources, especially in terms of investment potentials, to see how he could bring in resources to make Nigeria a better place for Nigerians. And in so doing, I feel the pains of Nigerians, because as one of the downtrodden Nigerians, we are under pains. It's agreed. But as I've stated, for you to have any leeway, for us to have that wherewithal of making a government stand on its feet, having been confronted by all these issues, because for long, the nation has been buckled under the full weight of ravenous and greedy political class, whose common interest is just to loot the economy and also to make self-servicing parameters. And look at the issues from any parameter of democratic practice. You'll agree with me, Uncle Yori, that Nigeria as it is today, we are on the threshold of moving forward. We're on the threshold of creating history. I strongly believe that if the efforts of this government is anything to go by, in near distant future, we are going to see the improvement of the economy. We are going to see the issue of security challenges being addressed. We are going to see how Nigeria's potentials could be added up, especially within the economic cycle, which is biting very hard and harder, to see that at the end of the day, we have an economy that will be buoyant. The value of the naira will also crush, so that it will, the dollar, I'm saying, it will come back downwards. And even the petrol, by the grace of God, by the time this government has finished mapping out its strategies in terms of policy implementation, in terms of aggregating its own views in the economic front, I'm sure it will create a leeway where we have our refineries back on track with the Hangout refinery and what have you. It will team up to see that at least the issue of petrol will be addressed, and that the level of, in terms of pricing, we will see a kind of reduction. So to me, Gori, in the 4 months or 3 months or thereabout of the Tinubu administration, I have seen a brighter future. I have seen vision. And I know that the government is out to see to the possibilities of making Nigeria a very habitable place for all Nigerians. Bearing in mind that this issue of fuel subsidy removal, which is becoming a pain in the necks of Nigerians, all the other presidential candidates have actually come out to support it because they have put it as part of their manifesto. So it is never a Tinubu philosophy at all. But Tinubu haven't come to look at the issues dispassionately and to pick up the gauntlet to say that, look, this subsidy must go. It has gone. And now, that is why today we're having the sources, especially from the subsidy removal, we're seeing how the government is trying to manage it very well. Indeed. To plug it into loopholes, to plug it into areas of palliatives, areas of concessions, areas where the Nigerian masses will benefit from the activities of governance, especially, Uncle Yori, the issue of economy. Now, the economy as it is, or before the Tinubu administration came on board, we've seen how the economy has been wallowing in doldrums. We've not seen any concrete measure towards making the economy progressive. But as it is today, I can tell you that with the caliber of people that I've seen, with their experiences in art of governance and administration, with the capacity that I've seen or I've read about them, I think we're on the path to the El Dorado.
Indeed. Well,
let me restate.
Thank you.
I know that Nigerians are feeling the pains, and the president is also feeling the pains with us. It is right time for us to team up with the government to team up with the Tinubu administration to see how we could propel the wheel of progress for the advancement of democracy and also for the advancement of the common good of Nigerians for better lifestyle in Nigeria.
Indeed. So very well put. Thank you very much. And you started off by speaking about the political climate that we are in at the moment, where, as you know, before, yes, that might be history now, before, the inauguration, in the whole electioneering cycle, every last one of the candidates at the time for the office that President Tinubu now comfortably occupies had said that they would be doing pretty much what has been done. But it's convenient now, unfortunately, perhaps from a political perspective. After all, we've seen, some of those former contestants. They've tried to speak in very, very recent times on where we are at now. And I don't know how intelligible they have been to Nigerians. Most people saying, what was that all about again? Because the real work is being done by a person who many consider knowledgeable in this whole business of developmental economics and has a fantastic team around him. Any way you look at it, is reform-driven. But unfortunately, we have with us a situation where Nigerians, as is their right, will be in opposition every time, and there always is the danger of throwing out the baby with the bath water and overemphasizing. I think it was one other commentator I was listening to this morning on television who was saying that, are we sure we're not taking our eye off the ball of important things? Yes, he had said that in a different context. But this is the situation in which I think, and you will probably be able to relate to this as a former member of the media team of the Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council, that the real things are being done, the tough decisions are being taken, the painful decisions have not been shied away from. And I think it's up to it's really up to the communication machinery of the presidency to keep Nigerians abreast of the gains that are being made, even though because of the tight strictures that might not easily be noticeable now. But gains are being made, no matter how microscopic, but gains are being made. Would you share that impression?
Yes, Uncle Yori, if you look at the issues of the complexities of a country like Nigeria, let us properly situate and contextualize the issues you brought forth with a view to having a dispassionate analysis of the situation on ground. As a scholar or a student of development communication, I strongly believe that we should target ourselves towards developing this country. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I think the machinery of government that has to do with communication has not been up and doing very well. Because the Tinubu administration has done exceedingly well. It's doing well. But are Nigerians being sensitized enough in terms of media participation? If you ask me, I will say no. Why? Because, you see, Joseph Ayana, the famous philosopher and historian, has severally been quoted, Uncle Yori, as saying, if experience is not retained, infancy is perpetual. Those that forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Therefore, we have to have experiences of people in communication. I must commend the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, in coming up from time to time to save the situation. I think the media team in the presidency should be up and doing. To me, experience matters, and I think there's lack of it at the moment. We have to come out with a very strong, formidable, experienced people in politics and also in developmental strides in terms of communication. Dele Alake, when he was there as advisor, has been doing very well. In almost every parameter of government activities, he has been up and doing. But I don't see it now. Let me...
Well, he's in a different department now. He's in a different, shall I say, part of the same whole, team, but in a different department now.
So you see, Uncle Yori, we don't have to cry over spilled milk because Dele Alake has gone. We must bridge the gaps and also shorten the distances. In doing that, we have to have people that will be supportive to the role, especially of the advisor now, of government in terms of media advocacy in the State House. 2, there must be reinvigoration of the National Orientation Agency because I strongly believe that the responsibility of informing, educating, entertaining, and also setting an agenda for the government will come also through the National Orientation Agency. And I don't think the agency has been doing up and doing. I think maybe for lack of funds or capacity, I don't know. But as I've stated, the minister, who has been an experienced person in public relations, has been coming and doing well in trying to support. I can see he has been addressing some of this thing, and I think there's need for him to do more.
Okay.
He should not leave the whole this thing to maybe the people at the State House, because to me, as it is now, there are a lot of gaps.
Okay.
In trying to build bridges, we must build them across streams and rivers. Therefore, to me, there is a need for the current advisor and also the media team with the presidency, once again, to be up and doing, and also to know the nuances of politics. Because for some time now, I can see that things are moving from the sublime to the ridiculous, where mediocrity and iniquity rules. And therefore, there must be a consensus issue. There must be that. I'm becoming very emotional, Yori, because this man has been doing a lot, and I think we should not leave it to only propaganda. By propaganda, I mean, propaganda could be either negative or positive. But then, to me, let it be based on facts, factual presentation of issues, set an agenda, inform, entertain, and also educate Nigerians on the activities of the government. And I think it has been falling short of expectation. Therefore, there is the need to strengthen the media team, to strengthen all areas of mass communication that has to do with the presidency. To see that whatever activities that is being done, Nigerians are educated, Nigerians are informed, Nigerians are, enlightened, and also an agenda is being set so that people will know what Mr. President is doing. Because for now, a lot of people have been saying, no, Mr. President has just been gallivanting, moving from one country to another.
Exactly. That is the propaganda. That is the propaganda that must be matched, as you are saying, that must be matched with facts, with facts. And nobody can deny really, nobody can deny that Tinubu hit the ground running from virtually, in fact, from the explosive day one, when he said that fuel subsidy is gone. That might have been dramatic, it might have astounded a lot of people, but he's since gone on from there to now begin to take on his reformist agenda. Again, look at the central bank and efforts to rejig and reform the economy, a pet subject of Mr. President. And any way you look at it, he's taken on this humongous task of, he himself, he himself spoke about changes in the Central Bank of Nigeria that are in there, and that, policies that are now going to be different from what they used to be. All this matter about shoring up, our savings, and all of that is a work in progress that very, very shortly we're going to get traction on. I think the president referred to all of this in his Independence Day speech. Traction will soon be got on this, and those are the things that I think you and I were just talking about that need to be played up. That a lot, there is a gestation period. If you want a child, yeah, from when you start, it won't happen tomorrow. There is a gestation period of 9 months in the case of the human child. And so these are things that probably need to be explained more, that we really are on a different and progressive task, no matter what the opposition is saying. They can continue to say what they want to say, but you've just pointed out that there also is a need to be putting side by side with that concrete gains. The matter about gallivanting all over the place that you referred to, these are definitely moves in the right direction. There are people who don't know where the president gets the energy from the grueling campaign to from day one, being as strong as he has been on the march, so to speak. All of these, no doubt, are going to end up, positively for Nigeria. But the people, the ordinary person, the market woman, the people who are not developmental economists necessarily, need to be explained to. It needs to be broken down for them to see that there is a rainbow after this particular situation that we find ourselves in at the moment.
You see, Mr. President is a very urbane man with metropolitan standards. And therefore, he believes in trying to aggregate these standards to greater heights or greater productivity in this country. That is why we are always in prayers that whatever stumbling blocks is likely to find on his way to that progress or achieving that success, may it be turned into stepping stones for greater heights. Therefore, in seeing the activities of Mr. President at his teeth, a lot of people, especially the opposition, do not see any good in what Mr. President is doing. But I think he has been doing a lot, even in terms of fighting corruption. Unlike the days gone by, where we see people shouting about corruption but doing nothing, we have seen a country that has been guided by, lesser minds and people without conscience, stealing what they cannot even, stealing what they don't even need. Billions and billions of naira. But today, Mr. President, in a very cool, calculative, and obeying manner, is fighting corruption silently. You look at the issue of EFCC, the issue of CBN, all these people, they are removed silently without making unnecessary noise.
Indeed.
And let me tell you, it is sending a very strong signal to other people that are thinking of getting business as usual. It is not the case. I think it will be too early for us to start assessing Mr. President as it is today for barely 4 months, to look at the dynamics or operational profile of the government in terms of solid personal achievements. It has been done and it is ongoing, but are Nigerians aware of some of these issues? If you ask me, and it's my personal opinion, but truly, people do not know. And even in terms of the economy, as I've stated, even the security-wise, security today, I can tell you, although there are pockets of problems here and there, which is normal. And this one, the normality that I'm talking about is that it's an inherited issue. It's not something that is that has been brought with this administration. It has been a recurring decimal. But with the team he has been able to bring to fortify the security of this country, with the officers of character and distinction within the armed forces and within the security networking as a whole, I can proudly say as a Nigerian that I'm very proud of the solid personal achievements of these people. And under their command, I see a vision of Nigeria trying to stamp out all these security threats and the problems. It is not something that is going to be overnight. It's not something that is not going to be overnight. It is something that is going to be done in phases. Progress is being done. If you look at the papers yesterday, you can hear what I mean. You can see what the Nigerian Air Force and the military have done in Borno, wiping out a whole generation of terrorists. You can see what has happened in the southeast with IPOP. You can see what is also happening in the northwest, where these bandits kidnappers and terrorists that have been quiet for some time have started resurging, and the military is actually coming out to deal with them. This is the kind of government that we want. This is the kind of leadership that should be given to Nigerians, so that we will have a pride of place in the government structure of this country. I can tell you, Uncle Yori, that with time, let us give the Tinubu administration support. Let us give the Tinubu administration the time to fortify the defenses and also to make sure that it looks at all parameters of governance that has to do with economy, security, politics, and what have you. Although for now, there are some people, there are some, I don't know whether I could call them, I don't want to say little irritants, but I'm sorry to use that word. Let me withdraw it. But then, there are some people that do not say anything good in this government. And therefore, they are trying to distract the government. Let me assure Mr. President that he has our support, and he should not be distracted. The government is on course, and this government,
I'm happy you use that
God
word.
Willing,
sorry, I beg your pardon, Ibrahim. I'm happy you use that word, because that's the one thing you also notice, that Tinubu and his team are not going to be distracted, it appears to people. Look, because they arrived with a plan, they knew it was not going to be an easy plan. The president referred to that in his independence speech, again, going back there, that he feels it as well. Yes, people will say that, well, it's all right for you, sir. We'll look at where I am. But he said he feels it. Now, the other criticism that I've heard, one of the other, shall I say, minor ones, is that I think I heard a major opposition figure saying that because the 25,000 naira that was, granted before had now been upped to 35, is it 30 or 35,000 naira following, consultation with labor. The other thing that comes out there, instead of seeing it as having a listening president, a listening administration that will make adjustments where necessary in the interest of moving forward, I have heard that such laudable, attitudes seem to be what I think the expression was that haven't not been given, deep thought. And so it goes back to what you were saying earlier about, look, people are free to critique and criticize if they will, but not very many suggestions in the way of how would you have done it, apart from playing on the pains of the removal of subsidy, the obnoxious policy of fuel subsidy. That's what you find. And, well, I suppose the negative, in a way, sort of sells, because it appeals to people who are hurting. But that criticism of, because there was an adjustment from 25 to 35, showing a lack of deep thought in these issues, I think that's one of the that's just one example of the unkind narratives that the opposition will, pursue if they are allowed to, without a sort of a rebuttal and an explanation. I think it's all about people need to be explained to what is going on.
Thank you very much. This is a question that have been well stuck in my mind, that I have been looking forward to. You see, I must commend Mr. President for his foresight and also for having a listening ear. I must equally congratulate the Labour for their understanding, for their compassion, and for thinking of Nigeria. You see, Mr. President, as I've stated, let me re-emphasize again. Time and again, we've had past governments in the days gone by that do not listen. Whatever is the process, protests and what have you, the government seems to be deaf and dumb. But Mr. President, since coming into office, he's a man that doesn't need trouble. If there is a protest and he sits down dispassionately to think about it, if he feels these concerns are genuine, he sits down and have reflection and talks about it. That's the beauty of democracy. And that is the beauty of a person who is a grassrootsarian, a philanthropist by excellence, and also a man that knows the pains of Nigerians, for him to have come out to accept that, look, Nigerians have the pains. It's not every leader that does that. We've seen past leaders, they don't care. Whether you are protesting or not, they will do as if they're deaf and dumb. They don't care. But here's a president that sat down or is sitting down. If there's any protest, he listens to it dispassionately. For us to have an increase of 35,000 naira on all platforms, I think it is a wonderful thing to do. Because if you look at the econometrics, Uncle Yori, you'll find out that if the president had given more than that, or if the increment is up to 100,000 or thereabout, believe me, the inflation that this country is going to witness, it will be unprecedented. So I think the team must have sat down to say, look, let us look at this issue. This 35,000 naira as it is now spread across board, I think it's a wonderful starting point. If by the time we've gone after the 6 months that they've stated, if there's the need for them to sit down to make the reviews, let them see the effects of the current inflation that will come about, maybe micro inflation that is likely to come out with this increase in salaries. Because truly, people are suffering. They don't have the wherewithal, for transportation, for feeding, for what have you. So this thing is good.
All of which are being addressed. Yes. Even the transportation issue, as you well know. Sorry to have interrupted you. These are also difficulties that are being addressed. But tell you what, my brother. Let us take a break. Let us take a quick break. So we'll be right back, and then we'll also open the phones for our viewers that also wanted to contribute to this conversation of assessing President Tinubu since inauguration. Stay with us, please.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos state government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
We tell you stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salamadini. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
Politics is defined as getting what, where, when, and how. But in the mix, many things come to play to shape the political fortune of any country.
Mr. Honorable Minister, that's how you misinform the public.
From the political actors to the electorate, campaign to voting, from debates to policy decisions, big events happen to engage us in constant conversation.
That's what we're looking for. Not some people who are talking about ethnicity. No.
Who is on your mind?
Don't worry.
Join me every day on Politics Tonight, where we dissect issues that shape our political destiny. Politics Tonight, weekdays on TVC News.
Hello, welcome back, and we're having this conversation with Ibrahim Modibo, political affairs analyst and former member of the media team of the Tinubu Shetima APC Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you very much for being with us, Ibrahim. And just before we continue, Wale in Ife has called in. Good morning, Wale.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning, and good morning to your guests. It's just my little take on this issue of subsidy removal and the blowout it has endangered.
Okay.
So, the first I want to point out is that removal of subsidy is an act of parliament done by the Petroleum Industry Act. So, and this act took more than 10 years before it was finally passed by the Assembly. So if Labour wanted to change it, there are processes open to changing those things. But they did not do that, which means that, and I'm sure when this thing was being done, Labour had their own inputs. So you see, I want us to interrogate that aspect of it. Now, another thing was that when this bill was passed, the previous government was prevailed upon to let the old regime of subsidy run for 18 months.
You know, you started out proper, okay, but suddenly it started going down and I can't hear you as well as when you started. I don't know if it's from here or there. Can you continue, please? Maybe I'll hear you a bit better. Please continue.
Can you hear me properly now? Yes. I said, when that bill was passed,
yes,
there was the government was prevailed upon to let the subsidy regime run for under 18 months.
Yes.
Which means that everybody, including Labour, had 18 months notice. Now, by May, when Pres.Tinubu came in, NNPC had already informed us that the government stopped paying since February 2022, and the country was owing NNPC 2.8 trillion naira. And it was just a month to the end of the 18 months notice, which means the subsidy was supposed to run for just 1 month. And NNPC said they did not have 1 penny to pay for the subsidy any longer. Now, the president had 3 options staring him in the face at that level, at that moment. 1, the first option is to go out there and borrow money to fund the 1 month subsidy, which Nigerians will not want. 2, the second option is refuse to pay salary for that 1 month and use the money for subsidy, which nobody will accept. Then the third option was to run with it. That, okay, let subsidy end. And that was the option he took. Now, my question is, Labour was part of the passing of this bill. Labour was aware. And Labour had 18 months notice. Then the then government told us they had 250 billion on ground for conversion into CNG. Now, what was Labour doing in those 18 months to see that the government walk the talk? Particularly, I would direct this to Comrade Osifo. He's from the oil and gas industry. He knows the processes that it will take from scratch to getting CNG to everywhere. Is it a 2 month process, a process? Is it a 3 month process? So what did they do in those 18 months? Knowing fully well that the process of CNG is not a 1 month or 2 months work. So we should ask Labour. So that's why people now start thinking that Labour is playing to another agenda, that they are not really fighting for the people. You had 18 good months. You did not ask the government that what are they doing.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Comrade Wole. Ibrahim, coming back to you. You heard that. Would you like to comment?
Yeah. He has spoken my mind, because truly this bill has been there for Nigerians, and almost all Nigerians that are interested, because interest is of paramount importance. If you're not interested in it, you might not have come across it. But the bill had been there. But, you see, I have to commend President Pres.Tinubu for doing one thing, for having the guts. Former presidents were there when these bills came on board, but did they implement it? If they had done it, it couldn't have been a Tinubu affair. But there was no guts. And also feeling the pressure that has been mounted by Labour then, and maybe most Nigerians, they've decided, to withdraw, from the withdrawal syndrome. And therefore they left the Tinubu administration to carry the can. And yes, the president has been able to pick up the gauntlet, and then he did it. Now, having done it, we know the situations like this, there is no how it cannot come with pains. But once you have pains, you are likely to have gains. And therefore, that's the situation we're in now. The trade union or the Labour I must commend them for understanding with the government, at least for not going on this strike. If they had gone, it would have made the situation very worse.
Yes.
That the economy is going to be in shambles, it will cripple the economy, and also life will not be as good as maybe we think it should be. So having had that compassion and having understood the situation of government, having withdrawn this battle line that has been drawn, I think it has been done in a spirit of camaraderie, and we have to appreciate them. And also for the president to be a listening president, for him to have brought in the salary increase and other palliatives, like even given about 15 million households, 25,000 naira every month for 3 months. Also bringing out the CNG-induced vehicles and what have you, and other palliatives associated with all this. I think it has been done in good spirit. And also the government has been able to do well. We have to look forward. Let us not think of interrogating unnecessarily about the labor issues, having known this. Let us all bring the old flames and passion. Let us think of how
I hear you. Let me at this opportunity bring in Kenneth. Kennedy, I beg your pardon. Somebody was saying Kenneth. Kennedy, our own Kennedy, in Port Harcourt. Good morning to you.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
It looked like Ibrahim Madibo is still speaking. Maybe I should allow him round up and then I'll continue. I'll stay on the phone.
I put you on so that you could go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. You see, my appeal is this. This government, as I have personally come to see, is a government that means well. I want to ask a question. During the time of campaigning, I could remember not one, not two, not three, not four presidential candidates used the removal of petrol subsidy as a campaign slogan. If I am wrong, please correct me.
You're spot on. You're dead right.
Somebody among them now came on and decided to take the bull by the horn without pretending about it, and went on ahead to kick this subsidy. Now, for the fact that he went ahead to kick this subsidy thing, what are we now supposed to do? Are we not supposed to now galvanize our efforts to see that we support this government for the betterment of the country? If our interests are not parochial and selfish, if our interests are not individual based, are we not supposed to now galvanize our knowledge and then support this government with it so that the government succeed? I don't know, I'm just asking a question. Now, add to that, labor is not even helping issues at all. Because from my standpoint and from my understanding, labor is supposed to help the government to sensitize the public as far as the benefits of the government policies are concerned. Not trying to worsen the situation. Now just imagine if the country had gone on strike today, would that have been better for us or worse for us as a country? So labor should please do the needful and stop playing, dancing to the music. It is no longer necessary. The government is listening. Let us find a way to continually engage the government. You see, policies, as much as I know, don't happen overnight. Policies take time. Policies have their gestation period, and they must follow suit, and then these things will now start playing out the way we expect them.
Okay.
So labor should please cooperate with the government and help sensitize the people.
Indeed.
And not trying to stir the people up to make the government's work even more cumbersome than it already is.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Kennedy. Appreciate your call. But it can be said, it needs to be said that Labour is working with government because, as you just said, can you imagine the situation if they indeed had gone on strike? So to that extent, they themselves are saying that, look, okay, it's not willy-nilly. Let's look at this. It's not as if we don't want to hear anything. They are going to reason about it. So to that extent, Labour has to be given its own chops as well. We don't want to demonize Labour here. But as Ibrahim said at the top of the program, we're looking at it, what, 4 months into a 48 months, God willing, 48-month stint in the first instance. before it goes on to 96 months, as the case may be. I like the fact that Ibrahim put that cautionary note out there that it's pretty difficult, but nevertheless, there's so much that can be achieved that we can even look and say that within this microscopic period of just 4 months odd, how has it been? And I think from all indications, there's so much potential, there's so much promise. A lot of things have been started off that we will reap the benefit of. And I think that is the point that conversations can usefully be focused upon, as opposed to, what is coming out, as I said at the time. Opposition is entitled to its views, but people are just not saying anything positive at all, as if nothing positive has happened. Look at the cabinet, look at the ministries. Suddenly we're now hearing about the blue economy, we're hearing about solid minerals, we're hearing about tourism in a big sort of a way. All those things that have been started, and that certainly we're talking, is it the digital, the IT and digital, all those things that have been started that weren't there before and that are going to yield much fruit are not, people just go silent on that. But Ibrahim, this is the kind of situation, I suppose it's human. It's a human situation where you lost and, you're not going to be a good loser. And as Kennedy was just saying, rally around the winner. Instead, we're hearing things like monumental policies were not well thought out.
You see, Uncle Yori, a lot of people, especially the opposition, when they speak, I can understand them speaking based on impulses and instincts. That is very common with the opposition. If they were to be in this position, I can assure you that maybe by now things would have even been worse. It's very easy to say than to do, to walk the talk. Some of these politicians, they are just, we've seen in the days gone by, where we saw rainbow coalition of strange political bedfellows that came up under a political party without any defined agenda. Their main agenda for campaigns was just to dance, and at the end of the day, they will just mobilize and use money, sit under trees, write results, and capture power without knowing what to do with power. But where we are, with a man that came in spite of all the hurdles that have been placed on his road, bumpy road, so to say. They removed, changed monies, did all sorts of things, to distract him.
All sorts of distractions. All sorts of distractions.
Yes, all those things were distractions, so as to make sure that he loses, or he loses that last election. But God is a God of justice. He has been able to bring up all those problems into prosperity, where we saw an election that was free, fair, credible, and transparent in sub-Saharan Africa.
And also thank God for the fact that it's clear to anybody who is going to be honest that he landed with a definite plan ready to execute. Let me bring on Mr. Joshua calling in from Irewolide in Ogun State. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning to you. How are you? And greet your guest.
Yes.
First, I think thank you for the platform, Uncle Yori, where at least we're able to talk. And for once, it's obvious that the government is as much more than before. But I could observe from the press that he is reflecting what the general discussion is. So, the president who is in the court. Unfortunately for us,
Oh dear. I wonder if it's not raining over in Ogun State. I don't know. But for the first time, we've had this sort of interference. So sorry about that. Joshua calling in from Irewolide in Ogun State. But our connection with Ibrahim Modibo is solid. And I don't know what he was going to say, but he wanted the conversation. We're looking at the first, 4 months, as it were, of the Tinubu administration and the gains that have been made, and even some of the challenges that are being facing and how those are going to be addressed. There's much to glean in that regard in the president's independence speech, which was which gave the opportunity of the president talking to the nation and telling us about the vision of this administration, he and his men. We're talking about some of those things that immediately suffered. The freedom with which we used to travel, financial freedom with which we used to travel around the country, very, very important. That has been impacted upon. But immediately, this whole CNC thing, it has been announced. We were saying when we were speaking about that on Independence Day that it would be nice to have a sort of a roadmap, a sort of a timeline that these things are there so that we can check ourselves and know where we need to make adjustments, that kind of a thing. Because people have said, yes, all of these goodies, it must be said, there's something to look forward to, but perhaps it can also be helpful in terms of planning and also in managing the expectation of the people, what the timeline that government expects are. I don't know if you'd like to comment on that, because people have said a lot of good things in the bouquet, in the basket, but perhaps it can be helpful for planning if we also knew what the expectations were. Do you see that as a fair comment?
Yes. As I've stated, Uncle Yori, in my introductory note, for a president to come out to critically examine himself, to feel the pains of Nigerians, is something that has been exceptional. It's something that is out of the ordinary. It's exceptional. For him to feel the pains of Nigerians and also attaching himself to the problems associated with the country is one area that we think that need commendation. Therefore, we know that in every opportunity there could be, adverse effects or thereabout. We know that there are challenges. The president has been making a lot of inroads into developmental structures of this country, but there are also challenges. And these challenges...
Let me quickly squeeze in. Ibrahim, I apologize for interrupting you, but let me squeeze in Ada, who has been waiting on the line. Good morning, Ada, calling from Jos.
Good morning, Ibrahim. It's Ada now calling from Jos. I'm running out of time. Please, what I want to appeal to you, I'm using your medium to appeal to President Tinubu, since he's a listening president. Please, let him revisit this idea of university charges, It's becoming a problem now.
Okay.
Let find a way. Even they can have a meeting with the vice chancellors, with the Minister of Education. Let them find a way of, agreeing with the VCs on how to go about this. Because we're going to have so many students dropping out of school. If you have been listening, many of them have turned to beggars. Some of them cannot go back to school. The loan they are talking about is not accessible. It's going to be dangerous.
Okay, Ada, I've got to interrupt you there, but thank you very much. And I think you made that point. There are two people you can trust to always major on education. Ada is one, Mazi Okorafor is another. Thank you very much. We caught that and you put it out there. Ibrahim, we've almost run out of time now, but I want to thank you very much for agreeing to engage in this conversation on the gains of the Tinubu administration, and indeed, perhaps even more importantly, the expectations, the better expectations that are ahead of us if we stay the course. I want to thank you very much once again, Ibrahim Modibo, our political affairs analyst.
Uncle Yori, let me quickly put in what
15 seconds.
Saying. Honestly,
15 seconds.
Yes. Honestly, what Mr. President is trying to do in education is something that is wonderful. He has put in a right minister with right frame of mind and also a peaceful man. I'm sure that all these crises in university will be a thing of the past. And I'm sure they are going to look dispassionately at issues of education because this is a man that values education. And therefore, God willing, Ada, your prayers have been answered.
Thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there now. That's where we're going to leave it. Thank you, as I said once more, Ibrahim Modibo. And please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you worried about the safety and security of your home at night? Do you wish to know when intruders come close to your home? Or do you want to protect what matters to your family from anywhere at any time? What if there was a convenient, affordable way to keep surveillance in your home without having to worry about wires, installations, or heavy light bills? Introducing the incredible Sidebulb HD Cam, the robotic 360-degree two-way torque camera with action tracking technology. Sidebulb is the ultimate solution for discreet and powerful surveillance. It's so easy to install, and the app lets you rotate and view the video from your Sidebulb in real time from any smartphone. You can drop in from anywhere and check in with our two-way talk technology. Talk and listen at the same time.
Hello, Mommy.
Hey, sweetie. I'll be home soon, okay?
Sidebulb's advanced tracking technology locks onto motion and tracks in real time. Set the siren alarm to go up when motion is detected and keep intruders away. Check in on your home while you're away. Make sure the kids got home safely. Interact with visitors at your doorway or surprise a trespasser.
Surveillance in a light bulb. I was amazed at the 360-degree rotation. It gives me a full view of my house and I can check in on my kids. The footage is clear and the night vision is so impressive. The best part, I can add multiple side bulbs for a complete home surveillance.
I really like my Sidebulb. It's so easy to use. I just downloaded the app, I put it on my phone, and I add it up and run in about 3 minutes.
Traditional surveillance systems are bulky, expensive, and difficult to install. But with Sidebulb HD Cam's innovative design, installation is as fast as changing a light bulb, and it's made for indoor and outdoor surveillance.
The Sidebulb HD Cam is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. You could be paying up to 200,000 naira for an indoor and outdoor security system that doesn't fully secure your home. But call the number on your screen now and get the Sidebulb HD Cam for just 45,000 naira and get peace of mind. And that's not all. If you call now, we'll give you an extra Sidebulb at no extra cost. That means you buy one and get one free for 45,000 naira. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get the Sidebulb HD Cam delivered to you for free wherever you are in Nigeria. So, call the number on your screen now or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts. The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
Wherever you see destruction, it's because God is absent. There is no destruction in God. So who started killing from Genesis? Satan. Jesus exposed him. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I am come that you may have life and have it how much? More abundant. I prophesy as your amen is coming like thunder. Whatever is yours, receive it now.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello
and welcome to TVC News this hour. We begin with updates on the planned nationwide strike